A very good evening and welcome back to all our esteemed HCPs for the Polybion webinar series. First and foremost, on behalf of Team Polybion, I wish to express my sincere thanks to all of you who have consistently joined us across the past month in our very engaging Polybion webinars with a distinguished set of speakers, especially our last Polybion immunity webinar where about 1500 of you joined us for a special session with our celebrity speaker Pooja Makhija on the right nutrition for immunity in a various range of your patients, ranging from convalescing patients to diabetic patients to immunity in general life. Continuing with that, with the theme of Polybion Active, we are back again with the third webinar in the Polybion webinar series, the Polybion Active webinar on the theme of right nutrition to stay active and energetic. And owing to the great response we got from all of you last time, we have with us again as a speaker with us, celebrity nutritionist Pooja Makhija. Pooja, who has been a nutritionist to stars like Deepika Padukone, Sonam Kapoor, and Ranbir Kapoor, has been a best-selling author as well as a television star, and she needs no introduction. Her aim is to food educate the world and rebuild the faith in nutrition. And today we have her with us to inform and educate all of us on the right nutrition to stay active and energetic. So, welcome, Pooja, to the Polybion webinar series again, and thanks for gracing this occasion.
Thank you. Thank you all for the extremely warm welcome and a great response last time. And I hope I can make sure that your guys learn lots more in terms of good food and nutrition to be able to help your patients deal better, having better energy and vitality to go through these not so normal times that we are actually currently going through.
So thank you very much, Pooja, yet again for the great knowledge we received last time as well. And to initiate today's session, let me ask my first question to you, which is the most pertinent one for us as brand Polybion as well. That overall, we live in a fast-paced world, and this lifestyle we lead today makes us lethargic, weak, or lazy at times. So, what, according to you, on an overall sense, is the right nutrition and the foods that are required to stay active and energetic throughout the day?
Okay. I'm going to bring this down to there are very basic pillars that hold the human body in its peak performance. If I were to give you an analogy of a simple car, I don't know whether I did this last time or not, but I'm just going to give you guys a very simple analogy of a car. The functioning of the car does not only run upon the fact that we have to put petrol in it for it to run, but there are many micro requirements of the car as well, which actually then ensure the optimum performance of your vehicle, whether it's brand new, it's old, it's of a new make, or it's a German make. It requires those minute attention details that improve its performance. The same goes with the human body. Yes, of course, we need to eat good food to be able to have good energy levels, and we all know that as a basic fact. But when it comes down, when we narrow it down to these smaller micronutrient requirements, which is what then gives the spark to the zest, or rather gives the accelerator point for us to be able to utilize our vehicle to its optimum need. Just like we require that little coolant in the engine to keep it cool, and that little engine oil to keep it running smooth, or the air in the tires, our body requires micronutrients to a very small requirement as compared to our micro. We are aware that your protein, carbs, and fats are your macronutrients, and your vitamins and minerals are these micronutrients that magnify the potential of the macros. They are required in minuscule amounts, but the absence of these minuscule nutrients can lead to devastating effects seen all throughout our body. We have to realize that this magical human body produces skin, muscle, bones on a day-to-day basis. It churns out red blood cells that carry the nutrition and the oxygen to the remotest outposts. It makes sure that it's sending nerve signals that are skipping through about thousands of miles through the brain and the body pathways. For all these chemical messengers, you require these micronutrients for them to be able to be working optimally. So if I'm going to bring it down to those, let's say we bring it down to five most important. I know I like to do this, but I think it makes it easier for us to learn good nutrition. So let's talk about five most vital things when we're talking about your energy levels. The first and the most foremost thing that you should be addressing when you seek a person who has lowered energy levels is to ask them the most simplest question: is how much water do you drink? Now, in my personal experience, I feel now that is one nutrient that is ignored to the maximum limits. It is free, it is tasteless and odorless. It is not really counted in one of the macros or the micros, but it is the most essential nutrient that we should be focusing on when we see diminishing energy levels. A dehydrated body is literally like a dehydrated flower. It cannot blossom, it cannot give out its zest and spark and smell and aura if your body is dehydrated. 70% of our body is water, 70% of our brains is water. So we require water to an essential level for optimum transportation of nutrition, as well as to keep our energy levels intact. A dehydrated body automatically fatigues faster, physically as well as mentally. So the first and the foremost line of questioning for any person who has diminishing energy levels is, how much water do you drink? Step up the water intake and see the magic that happens on 80% of the fronts of whether it is skin that we want that needs better attention, or energy, or stamina, because it's a loop reaction in our body. Lowered water intake will lead to diminishing digestive juices. As these digestive juices decrease, for us to be extrapolating the nutrition from the food that we eat also diminishes. So if our body does not have the enzymes and activated enzymes, we are not going to be able to digest the food that we are eating. So yes, we may be eating enough, but if we are not hydrating well enough, we are not able to extract this nutrition. That leads to sometimes even harder stools, constipation. Constipation causes more gas and acidity, and again lowered food intake. So it falls them into a vicious loop जहाँ ना energy मिल रही है, या अगर खाना खा भी रहे हैं तो we are not being able to extract the energy from the food. So first and foremost, let's step up water. Secondly, for all active mitochondria to be able to do the ATP conversion in our batteries or in our mitochondria, they require these micronutrients to a very large extent. And this includes our B complex vitamins, our niacin, our B12, our B6, our CoQ10. These are vitamins, zinc, selenium. You require all of them. These are, like we said, our requirement is in micrograms per day. But the lack of even one nutrient completely disrupts our ATP cycle, our Krebs cycle for extraction of ATP and energy, and automatically we will be eating the nutrition, but our body is not able to extract that energy to give us the battery to be able to run through the day. We all are very particular about how well charged our phone batteries are. Even right now, I'm sure you guys are all aware of how your battery packs are. And if your battery is not well charged, I'm sure you have it plugged on to your laptops or your battery packs or car chargers. So we take a lot of effort to make sure that our mobiles are charged to the optimum level. Sadly, we are not taking care of as much as our human body, because this human body बिचारी अटक अटक के भी चल लेती है. That is why we are not ensuring that we are giving our body what the body requires to be able to sustain and to maximize life. See, to live is one story, but to live your levels to your optimum level in terms of being able to accomplish everything you want in a day, whether it is being a great doctor like you guys are trying to be and helping out the community, or whether it is to be a good mother or a good father, and the 100 other roles that we try to play. We want to be able to live our lives to the optimum when our nutrition is just well thought of. Please understand, guys, nutrition doesn't require you to stop doing everything else in life and focus only on what you're eating, how you're cooking, what vitamins you're getting. It's very basic and general. You just have to make sure that you're understanding what I had explained to you all as the 5 pillars of nutrition, which was your carbs, proteins, vitamins, fats, minerals. If these 5 fingers are placed in our main meals, if we are giving due credit to these micronutrients, we will be able to give our patients the optimum quality of life that they can live in the period that they are alive. They will be able to get the maximum out of life. And these vitamins, as I was going, sorry, I digress when I talk about food and its vitality and how much it can affect your well-being and your accomplishments in life. So every person who is successful at what he does is because he is somewhere in the background paying a lot of attention to his food. He, or maybe perhaps someone else behind him, is really paying a lot of attention to what he's eating. So if we can give the right ingredients, we are able to get the right recipe in the perfect quantity of life. So of course our vitamins, so our microvitamins are extremely crucial that we need to talk about. And many a times, because of poor lifestyle, lack of available of right food, sometimes the changing gut flora in our intestines, age, all of this reduces the percentage by which we are absorbing this nutrition. So we have to eat it, then our body has to break it down, we have to digest it, then we have to assimilate the nutrients, then we have to be able to absorb these nutrients to be, for them to become effective. Many times our guts are not well equipped in terms of good gut flora to be able to absorb the nutrition from the food that we are eating, which is why supplements today have become quite essential. Our crop doesn't have that much nutrition, and B, our gut and our digestion and our stress levels and our pollutants are not letting us absorb the little nutrition which is left in our food. So sadly, supplements become our solace for us to get these micronutrients, to be able to get that spark, to be able to drive our car to the best levels that we can. So we spoke about water intake, we spoke about our micronutrient intake. Of course, no talk on good energy levels can be complete without talking about protein intake. And as we had discussed even last time, the percentage of protein deficiency in India is vast. 75% of us are not getting adequate protein intake. We may be aware protein is important, but we are not getting our body's requirement, which is why diseases are attacking us faster, fatigue is taking over us faster, age is catching up on faster, diabetes and all these health problems come creeping in because the lack of protein intake makes you eat more of the wrong food. I don't know whether I focused on this the last time or not, but every time our body is malnourished in protein, it manifests as sugar craving. So most of your patients who are complaining of going into this vicious loop of eating more sugar to get more energy, what they need to be focusing on is more protein. Every time our body is physiologically malnourished in protein, I repeat, our body will manifest sugar cravings. So if you want to control your patient's sugar cravings and therefore their diabetic profile, what we need to be focusing on is better quality of protein. Give the body what the body wants, the body automatically gives us what we want. So automatically the rejuvenation of our cells, the rejuvenation, the growth of our muscles, the growth of our bones, the neuron structures, the nerve fibers, all of them will be well taken care of if the protein intake is good. And as I said last time, we have to ensure all 3 main meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, should have at least 1/4 of the plate full of protein, if not more. Whether this comes from dals, pulses, sprouted dals, from your chana, which is also a source, your nuts, or even a cheaper source like peanuts are also giving them the good fat as well as the protein intake. The seed intake, it could be sunflower, safflower, flax seeds, all of these are giving a protein intake along with good fat. Our milk and milk products give us a little bit of protein intake, and of course then our chicken, fish, eggs give us also good quality of protein, where the protein intake can be stepped up. 1/3 of each main meal, your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, should be a good amount of protein intake so that our body gets the nutrition it requires and does not keep focusing on sugar. It happens to the best of us. Anytime we feel fatigued and tired, either we think about picking up a high sugar food to give us an energy boost, or then we fall into the vicious loop of excess caffeine. Okay, that brings us down to the third point of focus is not caffeine for extra energy, but lesser caffeine to have more energy. Please let me explain this fundamental of caffeine to you. Caffeine does not give you free energy. Caffeine is called borrowed energy. So every time our energy levels are dipping, like perhaps now at 4 o'clock, if my energy levels are low and I'll drink a cup of tea or coffee, I am borrowing energy from 6 o'clock. When comes 6 o'clock, my energy levels dip again, and most people fall into this loop of continuously ordering teas and coffees to get their energy levels up. So if you want your energy levels to be up, caffeine is the wrong thing to do, because each cup of caffeine leaches out 2 cups of water from your body, and that again dehydrates you completely. So that's not what we want to be focusing on. We want to be focusing on hydrating the body, not further dehydrating the body. So as a very key note, caffeine intake has to be kept lesser. How to keep caffeine reliance lesser is to make sure that you're fueling your car with good amount of quality nutrition every 2 hours. Sorry, someone's turned on their microphone. Please turn it off.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I think in our background team, yeah, it's now sorted.
Okay,
Please
perfect.
continue.
Okay, so if you keep your dependence on small, frequent meals every 2 hours, automatically your energy levels don't go through the dip and the peak. Automatically, your brain gets the fuel, your body gets the fuel, and your energy levels are beautifully sustained. This does not by any means, I mean to say, stop practice, stop your patience, open a big dabba, start eating dal chawal every 2 hours. These could be very simple, handy foods that you keep in your drawer. Literally a handful of chana, or a handful of peanuts, or a handful of almonds, a handful of kurmura, makhana. Any of these are quick, easy, healthy, and will keep continuously fueling the 2 hourly car so that your energy levels don't go through peaks and troughs of energy bursts and then an energy low. That's one of the smarter ways to be able to fuel your car, small and frequent, so that the car runs longer, instead of keeping large gaps, then filling large amount of petrol and then again keeping large gaps. Too much food eaten is too much energy diverted towards your digestive system. So automatically your muscles and your brains gets lesser energy, and we go through what is known as a energy dip post a heavy meal. So most people will feel when they have a big lunch, they want to go take a quick snooze or a snap. That usually happens when you're eating a very large meal, because the entire body's focus in terms of blood circulation goes to the digestive system. In its all the digestive juices and the digestion. So automatically our brain cells are getting lesser blood, and we are then feeling sluggish, sleepy, and tired. So the best way to make sure that that does not happen is small, frequent meals. So we've spoken about a couple of things. The max that I would also want to focus on is other nutrients. I don't know, we did speak about the B complex vitamins, but even minerals such as zinc, selenium are extremely crucial, vital components to our Krebs cycle and our energy extraction from the food that we eat. Yes, we have to do our best that we can give our patients this through good food, whole grains and cereals and nuts, have them. But again, like I said, a little bit of essential and smart supplementation will make sure that these guys get the best from their bodies, especially when we're talking about geriatric population. about 10 to 30% of geriatric population has a 50% reduction in the absorption of these nutrients from our gut. So whether it is your zinc, selenium, or even your B12, the geriatric population is not, the gut is not absorbing the nutrition. So even if they are eating the food, their body is not getting what their body wants. So therefore, supplementation becomes a tad bit more essential to give them most optimum energy levels. So that was our first question. I know I took a little bit, lots of time addressing it, but it is just something that can be so beautifully managed with good food and nutrition that I wanted to just highlight that aspect onto you guys.
No, thank you. Thank you so very much, Pooja, for that. And one very important point I think that you touched upon was the fact that caffeine is not really energy, it is borrowed energy. And real energy is through right nutrition, which is adequate protein, a diet cycle that is frequent and small, and most importantly, micronutrients like B complex vitamins and minerals like zinc and selenium. So that is, I think, our first takeaway from this session. Thank you for that. But this brings me to a related question, Pooja. You did mention that the cycle of eating food should be frequent and small portions. But are there any timings or any specific times of food intake or portion sizes that can make you lethargic, or on the contrary, timings and portions that can make you feel more energetic?
Yes, there are. This is known as using the science of chronobiology to get the maximum out of your body. This is the term may seem very new age, but the philosophy behind is extremely old age. This is just like saying, like our grandparents said, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. Chronobiology today has explained the same science to us of what our grandparents knew years in advance. What your body can effectively burn at 8 a.m. versus what it can burn at 8 p.m. is vastly different. So, our body's energy conversion and extraction is far better in the first half of the day. So, what is said as effective nutrition is called as front loading of calories in the first half of the day. Try to finish about 60 to 70% of your day's intake in the first half of the day. At that point in time, your body's efficiencies to absorb the nutrition as well as digest and burn the calories and store lesser is far more in the first half of the day versus the latter half of the day. Sadly, because of our lifestyles and chaotic work styles, our breakfast is always on the go. Lunch is something that we are doing quick again at office. Then what we tend to do bigger is our dinner meal once we sit down with the loved ones and the family and the garma garam khana that comes on the table and the plate. So जो हमने दिन भर नहीं खाया है वो हम डबल रात को खा लेते हैं. But sadly, that is the wrong way to fuel your car. That is the wrong way to feed your body. And that is what leads to what is known as a fat hangover. We all have heard of the term of alcohol hangover. But when we eat a very heavy meal just before sleeping, our body, see, we sleep because our body has to recover, repair, rest, and restore in our sleep. But when we have eaten a very heavy meal and slept, our body's half the resources go into digesting that heavy meal in our sleep. When we are awake, please realize our body is at BMR, basal metabolic rate. When we sleep, our body goes into RMR, resting metabolic rate, which is not half, but little less than half of your BMR. So आपकी body की efficiency reduce हो गई है, but आपने खाना इतना बड़ा खाया है for it to digest. A, absorption of the nutrition is compromised. And B, our recovery, wear and tear, repair, which should be the focus of the body in the night. Each organ of our body detoxes at different times of the night. And if our body is continuously still digesting the food that you've eaten, we wake up next day in the morning with what is called as a fat hangover. Tired, fatigued, and although we have slept the whole night, we wake up in the morning feeling like a truck has hit us and we want to go back to sleep. So if you want to avoid such feelings, and if our patients are complaining of such drained energy levels, an intelligent way to eat your food is front loading of the calories in the first half of the day. In that way, your body uses efficiency, your patients will lose weight, please note that this is the most intelligent way even for weight loss. And anytime you will tell your patient that this will help you lose weight, they are going to listen to you a tad bit more than they would otherwise. So you could even tell them that front loading of calories not only increases their energy potential, but also helps them lose weight and therefore control their diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, and all correlated morbidities. So, yes, to answer your question, Manav, which is an intelligent way to eat? That's the intelligent way to eat.
So very nicely worded, I must say, Pooja. Front loading the food to avoid a fat hangover. That can be a good tagline for a healthy, timing for diet. But with this, actually, I'm also seeing parallelly some questions. So I'll insert one question in between a discussion because it's a point of my discussion as well. We talked about essential micronutrients sometimes not being available in food and being taken as supplements, right? Like we mentioned, B vitamins, zinc, selenium, and other essential vitamins as well. Uh, when we talk about this food cycle and food timing and taking of supplements, is it something that these supplements should be taken with food, after food, single handedly alone, or is there anything in terms of the relationship with food that you can
Definitely.
elaborate on?
Yes, definitely they will have a relationship to food because certain vitamins have interfering factors that may hinder their absorption weaker. So, as per what my belief is, that most vitamins are better taken before a meal, versus most medicines are better taken after a meal. Most vitamins are better taken before. So, I'm not saying take it on an empty stomach, but take your vitamin first, let it start acting. 10-15 minutes later, the food can come in and start, because in case there were any interfering cofactors, they will be, our absorption has already started. And sometimes certain vitamins require essential core absorption factors. For example, our fat soluble vitamins require some fats in our diet to be able to be absorbed. So if you will take your vitamin before, start the water soluble absorption faster. The fat soluble ones will then be digested once the fat comes in through our main meal. So for vitamins, it's always smarter to be take your vitamin just before your meal and then eat your meal. Is the way that I recommend to most of my patients to do. Also, I don't believe in taking all vitamins together. I just feel that it's far better spaced out. So if you can space it out for your patients as well, one vitamin perhaps before your breakfast, one before your lunch, one before your dinner, I just feel that you're giving the body enough space and time to be able to absorb it, and no rendering cofactors can come and prevent its absorption. For example, calcium and iron. We are aware that these are two nutrients that have great affinity for each other. The minute you will give them both together, they both bind to each other and none of them can be absorbed. And I know so many patients of mine who take calcium and iron together with their breakfast and done with it. Now that's not the way to give nutrition. They are taking the vitamins, they're spending the money, but still their body is not getting the benefit from it. So as it is said, calcium and iron have to be kept a minimum 6 hours apart. So one can be before breakfast, one can be before lunch, and one can be before dinner. So yes, all vitamins have, it is better to space out your vitamins as much as possible.
Got it. Got it. Thank you for elaborating on that, Pooja. And this brings me to another topic that we touched upon in our first question as well. You did mention that right nutrition not only keeps us physically active, but it also helps us stay mentally active. But this aspect of mental fatigue, stress, tiredness, given that a lot of our HCPs themselves and their patients as well might be in long sitting jobs. In that case, are there any specific nutritional aspects to stay mentally active as well? To stay energetic, not only physically, but being alert as well.
So I think this would be more a hand in loop of what I've already spoken in terms of good hydration, also in terms of not relying too much on caffeine, making sure, see, because for us to be able to be mentally stable and emotionally stable, our food and our gut plays a very crucial role. We thought serotonin, which was our feel good and keep calm hormone, was produced in our brain. But today, science has clearly proven to us that 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut. So if we are not going to be eating well, we cannot have enough serotonin, and lack of serotonin is going to leave us restless, hit with anxiety, depression, and not mentally as satisfied as we want to keep each and every one of us. So if we are eating right, our gut flora is able to make enough of the serotonin, and therefore our brains can use this serotonin. We always thought that our brain was the command center of our body, but today science is telling us that for every one signal that the brain sends our gut is sending 9 signals back to our brain. So that much is the affluence and the effect of the food that you eat to your mental satisfaction, happiness, anxiety, depression. So many patients have been able to so many doctors have been able to help their patients gradually wean off the anti-anxiety and anti-depression medication with a good diet and a good vitamin supplementation, so that their body is getting what the body wants in terms of good gut flora and good digestive health, so that there is enough serotonin that is being produced to help them mentally as well. So a good balanced diet, eating small frequent meals, giving your body good information through food. I've told you guys this last time as well. Every bite you put into your body is information. And we need to educate each and every one of us that we can, that eat with thought. And to whether this food is good information or whether this food is bad information, everybody knows that. You don't need to be a nutritionist or a doctor to know what food is good for you and what is not good for you. We all know that, but we don't give thought to food. We eat even without looking. We eat even without realizing the portion sizes that we are eating. We eat because it's kept in front of us. We eat because we are celebrating. We eat because we are bored. We eat because we are stressed. But food is nutrition. Food is information. Every bite is giving our body information towards good health, wear and tear, repair, regeneration, or it's giving us information towards illnesses, diseases, gas, acidity, cancers, and diabetes. So, if we can just bring about this awareness of eating with thought, we can help our patients get mental and emotional and physical stability, as well as excellence, mind, body, and soul. Just thoughtful eating is the key word here to getting a better mental alertness. Of course, micronutrients also play a role, and as we have already emphasized, we require, so for example, for our body to, we require magnesium in such small quantities to be able to contribute to the melatonin that our body produces. Now, melatonin is extremely crucial for our mental health. Melatonin is extremely crucial for our sleep wake cycle. बट ये मैग्नीशियम नहीं होगा तो ये मेलेटोनिन कन्वर्जन, सेरोटोनिन टू मेलेटोनिन नहीं होगा. So of course these micronutrients are very crucial, and which is why, just to be on the safe side, I do believe that taking a supplement just does the trick, because serotonin banega but serotonin will not get converted to melatonin because you didn't have magnesium. Then automatically anxiety, depression hits us. So these micronutrients, along with eating with thought, is one of the simplest ways to help yourself.
Great. Thank you, Pooja, for that very well worded answer as well. And this brings me to my next question. You did briefly touch upon it, and there is a related question in our question box as well. So we talked about key nutritional aspects to stay physically active, and is there any kind of difference in terms of nutrition basis gender? Like, should men versus women, in case of adults, look at some specific nutritional needs that can cause, or nutritional deficiencies that can cause more fatigue in them? For that, actually, a related question from one of our doctors was that I get a lot of women complaining of lethargy in the pre-menstruation phase. So, relating to that, are there any specific things we should know about gender differences in terms of nutrition?
So when we talk about gender differences in nutrition, the first thing that comes to my mind is iron requirements. Iron requirements for women versus men, which we all are aware is far higher for women, whether they are in their reproductive stages, rather reproductive ages, versus men. Iron losses due to menstruation or iron high demand due to pregnancies is where most women are left depleted with iron stores. Many a times you may notice that their CBC or their hemoglobin levels show adequate hemoglobin levels, but when checking for their ferritin stores, those are completely depleted, which have a direct influence on our energy levels. So I had once read an analogy that stuck to me, that said that your iron stores in your blood in form of hemoglobin is literally like the money that you have in your pocket. But money in your pocket is not as important as money is in your bank. So there are many women who may have enough money in their pocket, so they may have adequate hemoglobin levels, but money in their bank, which is their ferritin stores, are very vastly depleted, which is why they have depleting energy levels as well as depleting hair. So a very good marker for extreme hair loss is to check their ferritin levels. They may have enough money in their pocket, but their banks are usually depleted, which is why, again, sadly, supplementation becomes essential to be able to refill these ferritin stores in terms of iron levels. In terms of gender differences, I think focusing on iron as well as focusing on protein again becomes essential. For some reason, men have a tad bit more affinity for protein. They think it makes them more muscular, and therefore more men focus more on protein, and women think their requirement may not be as much as men, so they tend to eat lesser. And as we are aware, even hemoglobin, the heme component and the globin component, requires the protein. So it becomes a related nutrition, of course, but protein and iron will be the two things that I would want more focus on when it comes to gender differences. Yes.
Great. Thanks, Pooja, for this answer as well. Now, we touched upon this yet again, but I would want to discuss this aspect. We discussed that there are macronutrients that are required by the body. You discuss carbs, you discuss proteins as well. But we're getting a lot of questions that are also asking about the role of sugar in terms of people feeling energetic. And while we have discussed that protein intake being lesser increases the cravings for sugar, but does it make sense to drastically drop sugar intake? A lot of these fat diets today, and people suggest removing sugar from the diet. But what are its implications in terms of energy levels?
I'm considered to be a very adjusting nutritionist who doesn't take away much food from their clients' food list. I'm not anti carbs as many nutritionists are. I'm not anti many foods, and I am a very accommodating nutritionist. But the one thing that I would ask every single person who is listening to this, healthy or having any form of health problems, young or old, male or female, the one thing that we all should eliminate from our diet is sugar. Sugar is the most redundant, required, and sugar is the pitfall of all the inflammation in our body and all the starting point of all diseases in our body. So removal of sugar is something that should be done even when there is no sign of disease in our body. Please realize that every food item that we consume is converted to sugar in our body. We are going to put it through the Krebs cycle and release ATPs in form of glucose. So whether you ate roti or rice or bread or noodles or pasta or even dal or fruit or nuts, our body converts it to sugar, which is the final primary source of fuel for all the cells in our body. So per se, eating glucose to get glucose is the worst way to give your body energy. Sugar only creates inflammation in our body. From the minute it touches our body, from teeth to dental caries to acne to diabetes to pancreatic exhaustion to cancers, everything starts from the refined sugar that has been introduced into our society. So if there is one food item that I consider bad for one and all, it is sugar. And drastically reducing your sugar is the best way to help yourself. I'm not saying take away food. I'm just saying take away refined added sugar, because all the food that we eat is converted to sugar in your body. So any diet which allows you too much sugar is not a healthy diet. It is the prime route for inflammation, and we are all aware that inflammation is the starting point of all diseases.
Thank you, Pooja, for that. At least now we are clear that eliminating sugar is something that can help us stay more energetic as well. And this
Yes.
brings me, this
And
brings
sorry,
me,
I'm just going to intercept again here. When I'm talking about, we tend to feel that if we have more sugar, we are going to have more energy, because we somehow feel that any depleted resources can be instantly refilled with anything that is sugar laden. Yes, correct, it will be, but the most vicious way to fuel your body with sugar is by having sugar. Why? Because sugar always creates a peak, and after a peak always comes a dip. So always after a sugar rush, there will be a sugar fatigue. There will be a sugar energy drop. That is why we don't want our body to go through a peak. The minute there is a rush of sugar, the insulin will come and completely try to bring it down. The surplus insulin is going to just sap our energy. So, although it may seem like a quick transient fix to fix low energy levels with sugar, it is the most unhealthy way to fix it. It is a benefit only one sided. When you flip the coin over, the only thing you've done is defeated the purpose all over.
got it. Thank you for that, Pooja. And before we move to the Q&A that are being asked by our audience here, there would be one last question. Because within the Polybion range of products as a brand, we also, have products that talk about and that deal with low energy levels in children. But in terms of nutrition, or nutritional requirements, are there any specific or extra requirements of children? Because a lot of days today, mothers will observe children who are not really focused or not going to play around, are kind of disenchanted with everything around them. So any specific aspects for children as well?
So a lot of children with attention deficit disorders have benefited vastly with introduction of selenium, zinc, magnesium. So these micronutrients, to a very large extent, has helped in backtracing and helping children with attention deficit disorders. So again, nutritional requirements in terms of supplementation, even for children, has become essential, especially the ones that are requiring a little bit more special needs. Again, children are in their growing stages, so protein requirement for them is the most important. We are not only feeding the current body, but we are also fueling for the growth of the body physically as well as mentally. Therefore, protein requirements is of utmost importance, and a lot of growth stunting and height stunting that is being seen in the Indian population, although they may have the genetic framework for a good tall body, is being noticed because of protein depletion and because of low protein intake, which is part and parcel of our dietary lifestyle today. So, focusing on good protein quality and quantity for growing children, as well as micronutrient supplements, is extremely important for attention, so mental as well as physical growth.
Thank you, Pooja. And now I think it is time that we move on to our, I think, quite a lot of questions that we have now. So I'll go one by one. The first question is that you talked about macro and micronutrients. In terms of our diet, what should be the percentages of these micronutrients?
In terms of micronutrients are literally required in minuscule micrograms, no, sometimes in
No.
milligrams and sometimes.
So the question is around macronutrients like protein, carbs, and so what percentage should be the split?
Okay, so that's a fair question. So I would say that your carbs should be about a 50 to 60% of the need. Most nutritionists make carbs this culprit. Carbs equals fats, fat equal weight gain. So carbs is considered to be the bad factor, and actually that's a very important macro that I forgot to address in my first thing when I talk about good energy levels, is adequate dependency on carbs. Carbs are not the bad factor. The carbs are your energy givers. The first function of carbs, as taught to us, was told to be having protein sparing action. Please spare the protein for wear and tear, growth and repair, because गाड़ी चलाने का काम, energy देने का काम carbs ka hai. But most people deplete themselves of carbs because they are overweight or they want to lose weight, or the fad tells them, or a particular film star has dropped carbs, so they drop the carbs. Now proteins which were required for growth, repair, wear and tear and immunity now have to do the job of the carbs, so they become the energy givers versus the protective soldiers. So please do not deplete yourself of carbs if you want good energy levels. I'm going to plug that in as part of my first important macronutrient. Having said that, 50 to 60% of your plate should be carbs. You should have about 25 to 30% as protein, and about 15 to 20% as fat, good fat. So that's the breakup
Got
of your
it.
macronutrients.
Thank you for also clarifying that carbs are not the culprit; they spare the proteins. Uh,
Yes.
well, this also brings me to my next question. You talked about protein intake in the diet. Are protein powders with cocoa and other flavors in them okay?
I'm not worried about the cocoa or the cacao in the protein powders. I'm more worried about from where these protein powders are using as a source. From where do they get the protein? All these isolates which are made out of dairy are something that are not very well tolerated by our gut. So I am not very pro protein supplements which are whey based. Protein supplements that are more plant based, whether it is from a pea protein or from brown rice, are better utilized by the human body and cause lesser intolerances. Too much dairy triggers off a lot of inflammation, and most high protein powders in our market are dairy based, and I do not believe in those. So I'm not so worried about the cocoa and the cacao in them. Yes, I would definitely look at the label of the amount of sugar in them. Please note that if a protein supplement is giving you 9 grams of protein along with 12 grams of sugar, it is a horrible source of protein. The protein content must be, if not more, it should be at least 1.5 times the sugar that the powder is giving you. If the amount of sugar is more than the amount of protein, it's a useless protein supplement.
Got it. Thank you, Pooja, for that. And I'll move on to the next set of questions. Uh, you talked about caffeine being reduced in a day. What do you then recommend? How many cups of tea or coffee are allowed?
1 to 2 cups. 1 to 2 cups
One.
is a fair division. Have one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or early evening. Please realize that although we may feel that caffeine doesn't interfere with your sleep cycle, I do not recommend any caffeine post 3 4 o'clock, because even though you may not feel the effect of it in the speed of falling asleep, the extra circulating caffeine in your body doesn't let you go into deep sleep. So I know lots of people who can drink a cup of coffee and fall asleep immediately. I'm not talking about your ability to sleep fall asleep. I'm talking about your ability to go into REM and deep sleep. That is where your body rests and recovers. That is where your organs detox. That is where you eliminate disease, and that is where you perpetuate growth. So please do not have caffeine in the latest part of the day. Keep it in the first half of the day is what I would recommend, and 1 to 2 cups is what I recommend.
Thank you, Pooja, for that. There is a question that asks, that's I think for me, what is Polybion? Well, to the doctors out there, Polybion is a 70 years old brand, and the product that you see on the screen behind me is Polybion Active, which is a B complex and lysine syrup. And as Pooja also mentioned, B vitamins are essential for energy release. So for daily sustained energy in your patients, this is a product that can help. Uh, Moving on, there is a next question. Just give me a moment. It says, we generally recommend iron before food, but do you suggest it too after food? I think you mentioned vitamins before food, but
Even minerals,
iron,
even ions before
even,
food. Yeah.
even iron is before food. Okay. Uh, uh, what would be the source of good proteins?
In the vegetarian diet, it is only the pulses and legumes category that's going to give you that good protein. Of course, nuts and seeds. And in the
Mhm.
non-vegetarian diet, chicken, fish, the lean proteins along with eggs or egg whites are an excellent source of protein.
Got it. Uh, Next question is, could you elaborate on what are exactly good and bad fats?
Um, all fats that are made that are made in plant made and God made are, in a simple way, the good fat. All the other fats that are man made are the bad fats. So when we talk about bad fats, we talk about trans fats, dalda, processed butters, processed oils, plant oils which are having too much omega 6. Of an influx of omega 6 in our bodies are getting our omega 3s depleted. Omega 3 depletion is leading to a lot of muscular degeneration, mental degeneration. So good fats are all the fats that God made. So all fats that can be extracted out of nuts and seeds, for example, almonds and flax seeds and oils that can be made from the plant kingdom is the focus on. But all the refined processed oil that we are getting from sunflower, safflower are the oils that I wouldn't recommend. So I would call them sadly bad fat. There are many people who think that polyunsaturated fats are good, but what plays with too much of omega 6, so we have to be focusing more on the monos and less on the polys. So focus more on the mono unsaturated fats. Even a tad bit of saturated fat like ghee or coconut oil is considered good fat, but they should be kept in small quantities because we don't want the TG levels of the patients going up. So if there's a fair play, so what I would say is, as a general rule, all oils made from nuts and seeds are the ones that are the healthiest. So avocados, olives, so therefore oils made from them also, as well as flax, these are all the healthier fats as compared to the unhealthy ones.
Got it. Thank you. Now, I think this is a very interesting question from the doctor says, I am a medical officer, and as you mentioned that organs are detoxified at different times of the night and the body repairs at that point in time. What about people like us who have to do night duties and we do not get more than 4 hours of continuous sleep during the day as well? Is there any specific advice for our diet?
I know. I every time I see how doctors function, and especially the ones that are on call and who have compromised sleep, I really wonder how they can manage the show. To you, I'd just say, firstly, hats off that you guys manage. But perhaps over the what I also read was a very interesting article that said that our body goes through a cycle of sleep debt. So, say for example, doctor, you slept for only 4 hours tonight, where your body needed an average of say 7. Okay, you had a 3 hour deficit now. As this deficit keeps pooling and reaches a brim of 24 hours, your body crashes and you fall ill, or you are given a day of rest where you will sleep and recover this debt. So the more this debt exceeds the 24 hours, the more inflammation that occurs in our body. I know this is part and parcel of your life and your commitment to help others, but you do need some amount of sleep as well. Otherwise, by now, where a man has managed to make the internet and have conversations like this, for me sitting in my home, for to you sitting in your home, and we've reached the moon and the stars and everywhere, we would have eliminated 7 hours that a human being needs to sleep, and we would have done more work and made more money and damaged our earth even more. We haven't been able to do that because sleep is extremely crucial. 7 to 8 hours as an adult to prevent a burnout and to prevent your body from diseases is extremely crucial. What I would recommend is, whenever you do have an off day, please catch up and don't let your debt increase. Of course, your nutrition plays extremely vital, crucial role because you aren't getting enough rest. So good nutrition, small frequent meals to be fed every 2 hours, good emphasis on hydration and proteins and ample carbs, good nutritional supplements that can help your mitochondria not go into an overdrive and still be able to extract and make ATP. So please do take a good amount of nutritional supplements as well. And whenever possible, please catch up on sleep.
Thank you for that answer too, Pooja. And there is another question. It says, so it says that a lot of B vitamin supplements are used, but what, according to you, can be additions to diet that can help?
So, one of the best ways to get B complex vitamins from your diet is to make sure that your gut flora is healthy. So, again, I'm going to be coming down to the microbiome and therefore focusing on foods that improve your gut flora. This could be pickled vegetables, this could be fermented foods, this could be yogurt, this could be probiotic yogurts, this could be in the simplest form as Indians, achars is one of the best ways to get good healthy flora or what is known as prebiotic to healthy gut probiotic. So only I wouldn't focus too much on the oily pickles, but all these vinegar based pickles or mustard seeds based pickles, whether it is cauliflower and onions and carrots and even cucumbers that we can pickle and eat with our food on a daily basis, they will make sure that your gut flora stays diverse. When your gut flora is diverse, the manufacture of B complex vitamins by the gut microbiome becomes vivacious, absorption from the diet becomes better, and your body is able to absorb these nutrients from our food better. So focus more on making sure that your gut flora stays healthy, because our gut flora is doing the maximum job when it comes to B complex vitamins.
Thank you, Pooja, for that. The next question is, any specific nutrient for patients of hypothyroidism?
Any specific nutrients?
Yeah.
Selenium is extremely crucial for for thyroid health, because it is the selenium that helps your body convert the inactive form of T3 in the liver to the active form of T4. Sorry, T4 to T3. T4 is the inactive form, T3 is the active form, and if you do not have enough selenium, this conversion doesn't happen. And most of those who are on medication for thyroid are given a eltroxin or a thyronorm, which is a T4. A T4 has to then be converted by primarily our liver into T3, which requires good amount of selenium. So I would focus on selenium. I would focus on chromium piconolate. These are all vitamins that enhance thyroid health. So I would keep a focus on that. Yes.
Got it. The next question is again interesting. It says, I get a lot of patients who self-medicate on products like ashwagandha and savitri. Is there any real role in enhancing energy?
Ashwagandha does help better energy levels, because ashwagandha directly helps us detoxify our mitochondria. Again, Ayurveda is not one of my fortes. I haven't studied Ayurveda, so I'm not going to tell you the doses, and I'm not going to tell you how to take ashwagandha, because I'm not an expert there. I am not against Ayurveda, but I am very particular from where Ayurvedic medicines are made, because the extraction of their active ingredients, if done wrongly, can have a lot of metal toxicity. So only the source of these Ayurvedic medicines has to be genuine, where they have said that the extraction of the active ingredient is done in non toxic ways in terms of metal contamination. But otherwise, ashwagandha is known to help with energy production.
Thank you. There is a good comment, I think, for you. It says, your comments are endorsed by my grandfather as well. Breakfast like a king is something our families have always practiced. So I think that's great to hear as well. The
Thank you.
next subsequent question, Pooja, is, does liquid diet help in any way with better energy?
No. It's like saying, can I put diesel in my petrol car? Will it run faster? You definitely require water, and you definitely require good hydration, but you definitely require carbs and proteins and micronutrients from vegetables and fruits to be able to sustain a beautifully functioning human body. So, no, I do not believe in liquid diets to increase energy levels.
Got it. And I think I'm getting a lot of questions. A part of it is answered by you already in terms of iron, but it's asking any specific nutrition aspects for PCOS patients, especially adolescents.
PCOS, I would do a best focus on fat loss, because most of their trouble brews from an insulin resistance due to high triglycerides and high body fats, especially visceral body fat. Focusing more on a balanced diet again to get rid of fat loss. And I really think that small frequent meals works really well with people with PCOS, because we don't want large influxes of insulin when they keep large gaps and then land up eating large meals. So small frequent meal really helps with people with PCOS, because then there is dose dependent insulin that is secreted by the pancreas. Of course, small frequent meals also keeps their appetite in check. It also keeps their tendency to want to cheat in check. When our blood sugar levels are more balanced, then we are more likely to avoid the wrong food and focus more on the right food. Because if our stomach is full with the right food, we can say no to the wrong food. So fat loss is one of the best ways to focus with PCOS. Of course, PCOS requires a little bit more additional supplementation in terms of chromium piconolate, myoinositol, because all these nutritional aspects help facilitate the ovarian function, as well as help with regular menstrual cycles, which are something that PCOS clients needs to be focusing on. So those will be the nutrients that I would keep a focus on.
One of the last questions, Pooja, now is, does barley really have an anti-inflammatory effect?
Barley has a great diuretic effect. It helps your body remove any stored water in the extracellular space. So if your patient has a lot of water retention, barley can really help reduce this water retention, because it's a great diuretic. Is it a great anti-inflammatory? All healthy foods are anti-inflammatory. I'm not against barley in any way. So barley is a good food to have. You can make barley khichdi and barley dalia and barley risotto, and put barley in your salad. It tastes really good. So I like barley, and I have nothing against it. It's a great food to have.
Got it, Pooja. I think the questions will still keep coming, but owing to the paucity of time, I think we'll now have to close the session. Your closing remarks for all the doctors watching in terms of lifestyle and nutrition to stay active and energetic.
Uh, just use food as great fuel. Please remember, food can do magic. Good nutrition can go wonders in soaring your energy levels from 0 to 100. Using food is one of the most sustained ways to get good energy levels. Most others are shortcuts for टेम्पररी एनर्जी लेवल्स, बट अगर आपको सस्टेन्ड बैटरी चाहिए जो सेल्फ रिचार्जिंग है, आपकी बॉडी हेल्दी, it keeps your body healthy and keeps your energy levels good, is only and only good food eaten with great love and good thought. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pooja, so very much for joining us today. And on behalf of Team Polybion, I thank all the HCPs who were here with us today. As again, we represent the brand Polybion Active, a B complex and lysine syrup. And like Pooja said, our brand also is for daily active energy. So with this, we hope you yourself and your patients can have an active and energetic lifestyle. And we hope to see you again for the next Polybion webinar. Till then, thank you so much for joining. Goodbye and good evening.